Good morning, church. Welcome to church this morning. We have another book this morning. We're teaching the book Song of Solomon today. And this is through the 20 years of this church's existence, we have been through 65 books of the Bible. This is my last book, so I was been looking forward to it. And I left it for last for a reason, because I didn't look forward to teaching this book. But it's actually a great book, and we'll see. We'll probably be spending two Sundays in this book, but it's a great book. I think we can learn a lot from it. So it's probably just one of those other books that you don't turn to very frequently for some inspiration. It's kind of like the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation is a little bit controversial for some people, and it's the same with the book of the Song of Solomon. This book discusses the love relationship between a man and a woman, and in a detailed way, and it can become a little uncomfortable, especially for public reading. This book does not mention God. There are other books in the Bible that do not mention God, like the book of Esther. But it is obvious, if you read the book of Esther, that God is working behind the scenes. And I believe it's the same this book, that God is there. God allowed it to be put in the canon of Scripture for a reason, and we believe that it is inspired. Solomon wrote 3,000 proverbs, along with 1,005 songs. And of all the proverbs, of all the songs, the masterpiece is the Song of Solomon. That is why it's called the Song of Solomon. It's the song. It's the masterpiece that he wrote. So why shouldn't it be included in the canon of Scripture? Through history, there have been times that the church really avoided the book of Solomon, actually taught against it. And it already began early on in the 185, 200 A.D. There was a prominent teacher at the time who taught that you should not read the book of Solomon. So some reason that it was already early on in Christianity that somehow the idea that the intimacy between the husband and wife, the sexual relationship, somehow that and holiness or devotion to God didn't match. It didn't work together. And it was seen as something that was a little negative. The first church council, the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, there was a proposal made to prohibit all pastors from getting married. But the council did not approve of this proposal. But then in 386, Pope Sirius commanded that all priests live celibate. And later this order was extended to the deacons. Today you still see that the Catholic Church, the priests are not allowed to marry. And Pope Leo the Great, about 60 years later or so, he was concerned for the wives because some of the priests were already serving as priests and they had wives. And he commanded that they not live together as a married couple, but just live as a brother and sister. And again, it was seen somehow that the intimacy between the husband and wife was a negative. And I'm not sure why the church saw it that way, but the question should be asked, how does God view marriage? Well, if we look in the Old Testament, there is no word in the Old Testament for bachelor. It doesn't exist in the Hebrew language. In fact, according to the Old Testament thinking, there was to be no bachelor. Every patriarch was married. All priests were married. All prophets that we know in the Bible were married, except for Jeremiah, who was prohibited from getting married by God himself because of the nature of his ministry. But other than that, we see that all God's people who were in position of some sort were married. The office of the high priest, for example, Aaron, his son would continue that ministry, and then his son, and then his son. And they were commanded to get married. So they were the ones who were leading the people of God in worship. And God explicitly commanded them to get married. In the New Testament, Jesus said that the marriage bed is undefiled and should be honored by all. God ordained marriage. God did not ordain marriage as a necessary evil. He did not ordain marriage after the fall. He ordained marriage before the fall. Before there was any sin, God already ordained for a man and a woman to live together. When Jesus began his ministry, the very first thing that Jesus did was attend a wedding. And he blessed the wedding. He probably gave the largest gift, I assume, because he gave the couple 120 gallons of choice wine for the wedding. So we see that God does not view marriage or intimacy in marriage as negative. Now, some view this book as simply an allegory of Christ's love for the church. But, again, that doesn't do justice to the book. Solomon is mentioned here a number of times. The Shulamite woman is mentioned. The daughters of Jerusalem are mentioned. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't do justice when you read this scripture in that way that it's allegory. I believe it should be taken literal. It's a book that is written by Solomon to describe a relationship between him and the Shulamite woman. If we take this book as allegory, as some people do other books of the Bible, like the book of Revelation, it's largely taken as allegory, we should not do that. The Bible does not indicate anywhere that it should be taken that way, because when you start taking things in such a way, the Bible really is now open for any kinds of interpretation. For example, someone that took the book of Song of Solomon as allegory, he said that, it says here that the Shulamite woman was tanned. She was dark. So that meant that she was that way because of the fall, and that she was marred by sin, and that's why she was dark. And that's insane. That very clearly says that she was dark because she was tanned. She was out in the sun. So what I'm saying is, when you start taking Scripture in an allegory way, it doesn't make any sense. You might as well not even read it, because it's now open for any interpretation, whatever you want to make it mean, it can mean that. So the Scriptures should be taken literal. Every single book of the Bible should be taken as literal, unless it specifically says that it should not be. For example, the book of Revelation, it would say, and a sign appeared. Well, now you see that it is not to be taken literal. But other than that, the Scriptures should be taken literal and at face value. So again, Solomon wrote this book. We know he had a lot of women, a lot of wives. But this could have been his first love. That first woman before he went off track, we could say, in his life, and he took a lot of women. Maybe this was his first love, the first one that he saw when he was young, and he wrote it up. Or maybe this is not an actual experience, but his wise analysis and skillful presentation of a healthy love relationship. It could be that as well. So without further ado, let's begin reading in verse 1. It says, the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's, the Shulamite. So it's now the lady speaking. Let him kiss me with his kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. Because of the fragrance of your good ointments, your name is ointment poured forth. Therefore the virgins love you. Draw me away. So this book begins with this couple in a courting relationship. So that's where it opens. And it's expressing their desire to be together. And as we will go through this book, we will see that their relationship grows through chapter 1, 2, and 3, and then chapter 4, they get married. And then chapter 5, they're married and they have problems in their marriage relationship. And it goes on to chapter 8. And we find here that the Shulamite woman speaks and then Solomon responds. And 2/3 of the book is the woman speaking. Now, I find that interesting because women speak more than men normally, but so 2/3 of the book is the woman engaging in conversation. So the Shulamite woman is expressing her desire to be with him. She says, "Draw me away." And we see this healthy relationship. It begins in a healthy way. We see there's a healthy restraining between the two and their relationship. If we look in verse 3, it says, "Because of the fragrance of your good ointments, your name is ointment poured forth." Now, fragrance of your good ointments, and it says your name, spoke of character. Her love for him is not based on outward looks or infatuation, but based on character. He has earned her respect by his character. Now, this is important in a relationship, that it is based not just on feelings or outward looks, but that you look at something deeper, that you look at that person's character. Because one day in the future, the feelings will subside maybe a little, the looks will go away with the years, and then what you're stuck with? You're stuck with the character of that person. So character should be central in a relationship. Now, having said that, chemistry is important. If there's character in all, but there's no chemistry, then that relationship won't work either. You need to have both. You need to have persons that need to be attracted to the other person, but then at the same time, there has to be or should be character. So we see this book opens up with this couple longing to be with each other. There's a healthy restraining from becoming too close too soon. We see that. And they are concentrating on character. Verse 4, "Draw me away. We will run after you. The king has brought me into his chamber." So, draw me away. The daughters of Jerusalem are now saying, "We will run after you." He has earned her trust, but also he has earned the daughters, her friends, also trust him and say, "We'll run after him. He's a good guy. We believe in him. He's someone that we support you with." In verse 5, okay, let's read. "The king has brought me into his chambers. We will be glad and rejoice in you." So that's the daughters of Jerusalem. They're happy for her. "We will remember your love more than wine. I am dark." Now this is the Shulamite speaking. "I am dark but lovely, O daughter of Jerusalem, like the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Solomon. Do not look upon me because I am dark, because the sun has tanned me. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard I have not kept." She is self-conscious of her looks. Do I look good enough? Now, I'm assuming maybe this is common in young women awaiting marriage, or they're wondering, am I attractive enough? Now, she has been forced to work outside in the fields in the sun to the point where she has neglected her own body because she is working hard and she doesn't have time to do all her hairdo and all that. She's just working and she's being tanned. And in ancient times, the whiter, the better, because a tan meant that you were just a common laborer. And she feels insecure. But she longs to be with him. She's dreaming about him, but she's insecure with her looks. Verse 7. Now this is Solomon, her beloved, responding. Her boyfriend, we could say, responding. "Tell me, O you whom I love, where you feed your flock." Or rather, she's saying this now to her beloved. Let's put it that way. "Tell me, O you whom I love, where do you feed your flock? Where you make it rest at noon? For why should I be as one who veils herself by the flocks of your companions?" She longs to go and see him. So she's thinking about it. She's thinking about him. She's thinking about his character. She's thinking about herself. She feels a little insecure. But now she says, you know what? Let me go and see him at his job site. Where do you feed your flock? In verse 7. She's asking the question. I wonder where he's working. What is he doing? Let me go and see him. But then she's concerned that she dresses properly. She says, I will not be as one of those who veiled herself. In those days, if you veiled yourself in a certain way, that meant that you were a loose woman. Judah's daughter-in-law sat by the roadside, veiled herself, meaning that she was available. She is very careful with how she gives, what type of vibe she gives off. And so she wants to go and see him, but she is concerned that she dresses properly. Now, she's not saying, I wish to see you at 10 o'clock at night somewhere, but at noon. If you look at it, I want to go and see you at your job site at noon, in the open, transparent. She's thinking about this, and he has won her trust to the point where she is willing to go and see him and see what he's all about. She wants to get to know him a little bit better. And I think that's important, is that a couple just doesn't get to know themselves on Sunday. Just at your Sunday best, at your best behavior, all dressed up, and that is all that you see of each other. Go and see the other person where they're working. See who they are when they're not at their Sunday best, when they're in their daily or their work clothes and they're working and they're dirty. Look what they're like. What is their character like? And so she's interested in him, and she wants to know him in that way. Verse 8, now he responds, and he gives her directions to his job site. Verse 8, if you do not know, O fairest among women, follow in the footsteps of the flock. In other words, just, hey, follow the flock and you'll find me. And feed your little goats beside the shepherd's tents. If I have compared you, my love, to my filly among Pharaoh's chariots, your cheeks are lovely with ornaments, your neck with chains of gold. Now here he addresses her insecurity. He reassures her by telling her that he thinks that she is beautiful. She's like a filly among Pharaoh's stallions. Pharaoh's chariots would be pulled by stallions, not female horses, just male horses, but she is like a female running among the stallions. In other words, what he's saying is, you are my only one. I think you're beautiful and you're my only one. He is assuring her of her insecurity, that she's beautiful. Verse 11, we will make you ornaments of gold. Now this is the daughters of Jerusalem. We will make you ornaments of gold with studs of silver. Now her friends are happy for the relationship. She is not dating this guy and it's just her thing. No, her friends are supporting of it. They think that he is a man of character. Verse 12, while the king is at the table, my spikenard sends forth its fragrance. A bundle of myrrh is my beloved to me, that lies all night between my breasts. My beloved is to me a cluster of henna blooms in the vineyards of En-gedi. So she is reassured now that she's pretty, that she's okay. She's a fragrance to him. And he is like a henna blooms in the vineyards of En-gedi to her. En-gedi is an oasis in the desert. If you go south of Jerusalem and you go into the desert area, you will see the Gehenna there. It's palm trees. David was in that area during his time of fleeing from Saul at certain times. But it's still there today. You go there and you can go into the valley, and it becomes greener and greener, and there's palm trees there. And it's beautiful. It's a spring. It runs year round. And though that's kind of what he is to her. He is like an oasis. He's like, you give me life. Verse 15, again, he assures her beauty. Behold, you are fair, my love. Behold, you are fair. You have dove eyes. Now, the way they describe each other in this book doesn't really make sense to us today because we are of a different culture and far removed from where they lived back in those days. But it's a way of assuring her that she shouldn't be insecure with how she looks. Verse 16, behold, you are handsome, my beloved. Now, she's responding back. Yes, pleasant. Also, our bed is green. The beams of our houses are cedar. Now, the description of this, the beams of her house are cedar. If you look at the way they're communicating, it would seem to indicate that she has arrived at his job site. She is now looking at his work, and they're walking together at noon. They're probably holding hands, they're walking, and they're communicating, and they're talking about their house is made of cedar. Their love relationship is progressing. They're beginning to talk about the future. They're talking about plans, and they are actually dating. And that's what dating is about. It's more than just staring into each other's eyes. It is communicating, it's talking, it is planning. And that's what's happening here in this relationship. Now, chapter 2, I am the rose of Sharon and the lily among valleys. So they're probably walking through the valleys, and they're seeing the flowers, and she's still insecure with her looks. And she says, I am just like an ordinary flower in the valley. The lilies are common in Jerusalem. This lily of Sharon was just a common flower. She says, I am just like a common flower. You see the humility in her. You see that she was a hard worker. She was someone that was tan because she worked hard. And she's not prideful. She's not saying, well, I deserve his love. You see a humility in her. And she says, I'm really just like a common flower. And then he responds. He says, like a lily among thorns. So is my love among the daughters. He says, no. If you say that you're just like a common flower, then I would say that the other flowers are like thorns in comparison to you. So again, he is reassuring that she is okay. Verse 3, like an apple tree among trees. So this is now the woman speaking. She has now seen him at his job site. They've been walking, they've been talking, and their relationship is growing. She's gaining more confidence. Like an apple among the trees of the woods, his banner over me was love. So is my beloved among the sons. I sat down in his shade with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. And then the Shulamite to the daughter of Jerusalem. He brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. Sustain me with cakes of raisins, refresh me with apples, for I am lovesick. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me. I charge you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or by the does of the field, do not stir up nor awaken love until it pleases. So they have communicated, they have talked, they've walked together. He has seen where he works, she has seen where he works. There's confidence now in his character. And now she says, his banner over me is love. What this means is that he is proud of their relationship. He is making it public. This Shulamite woman is my girlfriend. She is mine. And he is, I guess today she's putting it on Facebook and Instagram. She's putting her picture up. She says, she is mine. And this is something that for women to see, it's maybe they don't see it that way, but I think for men, oftentimes they're a little bit embarrassed to maybe ask a girl out or to ask for a dating relationship, because men sometimes have that macho attitude that we're macho, we don't need any female, we know we can do our life on our own, and we're a little bit, but then to actually admit that we need someone in our life to complete us, that can be a bit humiliating for a man. But we see the humility in this guy. He says, she is mine. And he makes it public. His banner over me is love. Now, if you look in verse 6, he says, his left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me. I charge you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or by the does of the field, do not stir up nor awaken love until it pleases. She is guarded in her thoughts. She is thinking of him holding her in an intimate embrace, but then she quickly catches herself and she says, don't awaken love until it pleases. Now be careful, brain, how far you allow yourself to go down this road. She is exercising restraint even in her thoughts. So we see this healthy progression in their relationship. The relationship begins with chemistry, but then they have feelings, but quickly it turns to character first. That's the first thing that is observed, is character. Before the conversation begins of complimenting each other and how beautiful they look and all that, before any of that happens, it's character. And then it kind of moves a little bit further along where they begin to compliment each other. She walks with him at their job site. They're working, they're going through daily life at noon, not at 10 o'clock at night in the car alone, but at noon. That is where they are courting. That is where their relationship is developing. But we see that their emotions are guarded at first. And the courtship gets deeper as they go along. And they begin to express a little bit more feelings toward each other as they go along. So in verse 8, she's daydreaming. She imagines that she's going to look for him. In verse 8, the voice of my beloved, behold, he comes, leaping upon the mountains, skipping upon the hills. My beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag. Behold, he stands behind your wall. He looking through the windows, gazing through the lattice. My beloved spoke, and I said to me, rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. For lo, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone. The flowers appear on the earth, the time of singing has come, and the voice of the turtle love is heard in our land. The fig tree puts forth her green figs, and the vines with tender grapes give a good smell. Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. O my dove, in the clefts of the rock, in the secret places of the cliff, let me see your face. Let me hear your voice. For your voice is sweet, and your face is lovely. So she imagines calling her out, or him calling her out and calling her away. She's imagining his voice and his love for her. What she's doing is she's processing the relationship. That's what she's doing. She's probably at home. She's thinking about the relationship, and she's processing it. Verse 15, catch us the foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vine. Now, this is her brothers speaking here. There's controversy if it's her brothers or who it is, if you really study this up, but it says here, her brothers, catch us the foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. Now, what does this mean? Well, foxes are an example of problems. They gnaw away at plants, and they cause issues. They can cause or destroy relationships. Now, even her friends or her brothers desire that the foxes be caught, that nothing hinder their relationship. She has support. She has support of her friends, the daughter of Jerusalem. She has the support of her brothers, her family. They're now all supporting this relationship. And they don't want the foxes to come in and disturb it. Catch the foxes. We don't want this relationship to be hindered in any way. Verse 16, my beloved is mine, and I am his. He feeds his flock among the lilies. Notice again, this is another description of their love is growing. Probably some months have gone by this time. The love between them is growing. She has gained confidence in the relationship. He is mine, and I am his. This is not a lopsided relationship where one partner is dragging the other one along, or one is reluctant and the other one is really head over heels. This is mutual. They're both moving along together. He is mine, and I am his. Verse 17, until the day breaks and the shadows flee away, turn, my beloved, and be like a gazelle or a young stag upon the mountains of Bether. Now in chapter 3, she has a troubled night. She lies awake and is afraid she might lose him. And in her thoughts, again, she goes looking for him. Now, I think each couple probably has to work through their insecurities. What does the other person think of me? Or are they really committed to this relationship? And she's doubting a little bit here. By night, on my bed. So she's sleeping. She's at night. She's not sleeping, but she's thinking. I sought the one I love. I sought him, but I did not find him. I will rise now, I said, and go about the city in the street and in the squares. I will seek the one I love. I sought him, but I did not find him. The watchman who go about the city found me. I said, have you seen the one I love? Scarcely had I passed by them when I found the one I love. I held him and would not let him go until I brought him to the house of my mother and into the chamber of her who conceived me. So in her thoughts, she finds him, and she wants to take him to the safest place that she knows, and that is to her mother's house. She wants the relationship to be safe. She wants him to be close, and this is just her thoughts. She's processing. Verse 5, I charge you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or by the does of the field, do not stir up nor awaken love until it pleases. Don't rush into a relationship. Don't start dating until the time is right. I know that sometimes you have relationships that start very young, but my advice, just my humble opinion, you might disagree, but my opinion is wait until you're ready to get married. Why have girlfriend or boyfriend early on when you're still 15 or 14 and you know you don't want to get married? I'm not making any rule here at all. It's just my opinion. It's just wait. Wait until it's time. Because otherwise you're playing with emotions. And so just my thought. You might say, I don't agree with that. That's fine. But just my thought. Wait until, don't stir up or awaken love until it pleases. Or, could also mean, don't go down, if you're dating, don't go down the route of intimacy until you're married. Don't start going down that route and just a little bit down the road and you come back again. Don't do that. Wait to become physical with each other until the time is right, until you can go all the way and you are actually married. To develop a relationship takes time, especially for women. In the Old Testament, a woman was to stay home for 40 days after she had a child. She would not go into public. She would just more or less stay home, except after 8 days they would circumcise the child if it was a male child, dedicated. But other than that, she stayed home. If it was a girl, she would stay home for 80 days. We have a hormone in our brain called oxytocin, which is a bonding chemical, sometimes referred to as the cuddling hormone. And this hormone allows us to bond with another person. When it is released, it provokes, or I should say that word provoke, but it causes us to have close feelings for the other person. Now, in the Old Testament, God said if a mother has a child, then let her bond with that child. You can imagine her. She's holding the baby. She's nursing the baby. Oxytocin is released, and she is bonding with that baby. And God said, let her do it for 40 days. If it's a girl, more time. If it's a girl, 80 days. The mother would bond with her child. Now, going to nature, you might say this is crazy, but sometimes animals and people are a little bit alike. But if you look at cows, if you have cows and they are in a herd, close together, let's say you have them in a kind of not in a crowd, but they're pretty close together. Certain percentage of cows will abandon the calf. So when you have a cow that is in close proximity in a herd, and then you separate the cow. And that's a problem that they have today in feedlots, for example, where cows are feeding. It doesn't work. If you have a cow that gives birth, she doesn't bond. There's too much interference going on. So you separate the cow and the calf, leave them separate for a couple days, and they bond. And now you can bring them back together because the bonding process has taken place. It seems that God said, I want the oxytocin, I want that to take its place and allow the woman and child time to bond. So it is my opinion, again, it's my opinion, that it is important that a couple not rush into a relationship, especially the women. They need time to process. We see it here over and over. She is processing the information. Now, I think that if a couple spends too much time together too quickly, that it can actually hinder the healthy development of a relationship, because there's not enough time given for her to think and to process their relationship. Now, if you look in chapter 2, verse 5, it says, sustain me with cakes of raisins and refresh me with apples, for I am lovesick. There is an attraction phase in a relationship, and there's something that happens in our brain at this time also. We have a hormone called phenethylamine, which is also released when there's a strong attraction. And this hormone gives you a feeling of exhilaration. It gives you a thrill, a feeling of well-being. And again, it's God. God is giving you that. But when this is released in high amounts, it can lead to a loss of appetite. The person can actually stop eating, and he loses weight. He might start feeling sick, and he's literally sick because he is attracted so much to this person. So she feels weak, maybe a little disoriented. She's in a daze, and because she has this strong attraction to him. And again, I believe this is another reason why couples should start slow. Don't rush into a relationship. Give it some time, especially at first. And once you've taken the time to process, you've looked at character, you've guarded your emotions, you've guarded not giving yourself away completely to the other person with your thoughts and emotions before you've observed character. Once you know and you feel that there's a stability here and you can actually, this is the person for your life, you've allowed that to process, but a little bit at a distance, a little bit guarded. Then you begin to move forward with more confidence, and you increase your time spent together as you make plans for the wedding and beyond. That's what we see in this relationship. Now this time has processed, she has had time to process, and now it's time for the wedding. Look in verse 6. Who is coming out of the wilderness like pillars of smoke, perfume with myrrh and frankincense, with all the merchants and fragrant powders? Behold, it is Solomon's couch, with 60 valiant men around it, of the valiant of Israel. They all hold swords, being experts in war. Every man has his sword on his thigh, because of the fear of the night. Of the wood of Lebanon, King Solomon the king made himself a palanquin. So this is him now coming with all his bridegrooms. In those days, he would build a house while she is waiting, and then he would come in a procession at night oftentimes to pick her up and then take her away to his house where they would have a wedding. And this is that picture here. He's coming now. He's a king, so he has all his guards around him, so they're well protected, and he is now coming to pick her up. And by the way, she's been wishing for this a couple times. We see, take me away. She wants to be taken away. And he now comes and he takes her away. And then verse 10, and that's actually the actual wedding. He made its pillar of silver, its support of gold, its seat of purple. This is their wedding. It is interior paved with love by the daughters of Jerusalem. Go forth, O daughters of Zion, and see King Solomon with the crown with which his mother crowned him on the day of his wedding, the day of the gladness of his heart. So this is Bathsheba, her mother, crowned him. So this is the actual wedding taking place. Now, chapter 4 is their honeymoon. And this is the honeymoon phase. Chapter 5 is they're married. So let's read chapter 4. It says, Behold, you are fair, my love. Behold, you are fair. You have dove's eyes behind your veil. Your hair is like a flock of goats going down the Mount of Gilead. So he is complimenting her. He's telling her how beautiful she is. Your teeth are like flock of shorn sheep. You have beautiful rows of teeth. which you have come from the washing, every one of which bears twins, and none is barren among them. Your lips are like strand of scarlet, your mouth is lovely, your temples behind your veil are like a pierced pomegranate. Your neck is like the Tower of David. And now, it doesn't mean that her neck is long, but in those days, a neck also spoke of character. If you had a bent neck, it meant that you were ashamed. If you had a very stiff neck, it meant you were stubborn. So she's saying you are a well-balanced woman. That's basically what she's saying. Verse 5, your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of gazelle, which feed among the lilies. Until the day breaks and the shadows flee away, I will go my way to the mountain of myrrh and to the hill of frankincense. You are all fair, my love, and there is no spot in you. Come with me from Lebanon, my spouse, with me from Lebanon. Look from the top of Amana, from the top of Senir and Hermon, from the lions' dens and from the mountains of leopards. You have ravished my heart, my sister, my spouse. You have ravished my heart with one look of your eyes, with one link of your necklace. How fair is your love, my sister, your spouse. How much better than wine is your love, and the scent of your perfumes than all spices. Your lips of my spouse drip as honeycomb. Honey and milk are under your tongue, and the fragrance of your garments is like fragrance of Lebanon. A garden enclosed is my sister, my spouse, a spring shut up, a fountain sealed, speaking of her virginity. Your plants are an orchard of pomegranates with pleasant fruits, fragrant henna with spikenard and saffron, calamus and cinnamon, with all trees of frankincense, myrrh and aloes, with all the chief spices, a fountain of gardens, a well of living waters, and a stream from Lebanon. And then the Shulamite speaking, awake, O north wind, and come, O south, blow upon my garden, that its spices may flow out. Let my beloved come to his garden and eat its pleasant fruits. So she is inviting him in. So this is their honeymoon phase, chapter 4. But we see that it's a beautiful because of their relationship is beautiful. The way they developed their relationship. We see that they started slow. They started with character. They built on something that was solid. And then they developed it slowly but guarded. And I think that is important, that when you go into a relationship, don't open up all the way completely to the person right away. Guard yourself a little bit. Allow that relationship to develop, and then you go into that as time goes on. And be sure that your family and whoever's with you, they're supporting it. And so that was beautiful. We see this relationship, actually, when we look at it, it's a beautiful relationship of a couple that is developing in a healthy way.